Welcome to the Law Firm Lab by MB Law Firm Consulting, the podcast where we explore how law firms grow smarter, scale sustainably, and lead with clarity. Each episode, we sit down with industry experts, firm leaders, and business minds to uncover practical strategies that help today's law firms operate at their best. Whether you're driving growth, shaping leadership, building culture, or pioneering innovation, get ready to uncover proven practices you can apply immediately in your firm. Let's get started.
Well, hello. I'm Margaret Burke, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Christy Rue, and our guest today is Phil Fornaro. We're here today to talk about what every law firm eventually faces, which is succession planning. So we would also love to discuss, Phil, your firm's outsourced general counsel services, as this topic has been coming up a lot lately. So a little background on Phil. Phil is the host of the podcast Light Bulb Moments, where he explains the insights and the turning points that help shape leadership and law firm growth. I was actually recently a guest on his show, which was a lot of fun. And during our conversation, it became clear that Phil has a wealth of knowledge that can absolutely benefit our audience. So we're incredibly happy to have him with us today. So Phil, we start every show with our favorite opening question. And today we would love for you to share with us, what is the worst piece of advice you have ever received about planning for succession?
Oh yeah, that's there's two really good ones there. Number one, relax. Don't even worry about it. It's never going to be an issue. And number two, keep this secret from your team. Keep this secret from your professionals. Hide out. It's very, very important to never tell anybody about it. Those are the two best pieces of advice that are the worst. So
it's almost funny because that does come up. Don't tell the team.
yeah.
So to add on to that, when it comes to law firm succession planning, where do you believe you see most firms go in the wrong direction? We'd love to hear from your experience, and then we'll likely have some follow-up based on your answer.
I guess the ideology with all of this is that you have to plan for everything in your life. You have your 401k plan, your retirement plan, and actually the attorneys are planning for the succession of their clients. Like anything else, you got to plan for yourself. You have to establish a set plan from the moment as of today. There's no need to wait at all. So I think that's the biggest part of it is developing it and contacting your professionals, because your professionals are there for you too. And if you don't have the right professionals, go get better professionals. And I think that's probably the biggest pain point amongst lawyers in this day and age.
Yeah.
And I think we have a colleague who often refers to succession planning as you can't start too early. The moment you become partner is almost when you want to start your succession planning. It seems a bit, like redundant, but it is, you can't start too early.
Yeah, no, I always love that adage. I think I brought this up on a recent presentation on succession planning that I gave in front of 60 lawyers is that, the best day to plant a tree was 20 years ago. And the second best is, today. Obviously there's more days before that, but you get the point is that just start. You could be older, younger, just don't be afraid. And you got to talk to attorneys and other people that have success at it. And then, watch what your clients do. That's probably the biggest piece of advice.
And Phil, tell me, how do you balance the emotional side of succession? There's sort of a rock and a hard place where founders have trouble letting go versus sort of the practical need for continuity and the leadership transition.
Yeah, so that's the funny thing. The irony of all this is that everybody's emotionally attached to their clients, their team, the people that have been supporting them all these years, and yet they don't plan for it. I know that sort of a theme on this podcast. They're not planning for that. And guess what? If they don't plan for it and they have some sort of event, some sort of that causes them, they become sick, they die, whatever it may be, all of a sudden, anything that they were worried about actually becomes a reality. So if you think about it, the irony is I don't want to plan, but I care about my client. So we'll figure it out. Let's get together, let's figure it out, and let's get a plan going forward. talking about the transition with your team, and I get it. This is part of your life. This is part of your identity, especially you've been, practicing for decades. This is, if you stop practicing, what happens to me? It's not just about
Mhm.
clients and the team. It's about you, because you have to figure this out. And it's not just planning for financial, which is critical to everything because we're living longer. It's planning for the emotional side. How will I feel better? How will I supplant that and talk about something or do something else in my retirement that gives me the same level of fulfillment?
Yeah, it's interesting because I also think what contributes to the delay in planning is folks believe they need to have the answers. Like they need to have this plan where they know exactly what's going to happen in 15, 10, 5 years. And that can be really hard to do. But if you start planning and preparing your firm to be able to run without you, it's a step in the right direction. And also like starting to identify the people at your firm. If you're fortunate enough to have a team where you have people that you believe could take your firm over, which is usually the number one choice of every attorney we speak with or founder, starting to think about those leaders and bringing them in so they can start to learn what you're doing, or what the clients, what you're as a law firm founder is doing to help the firm succeed. Because it's not something that just happens overnight. It takes time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not thinking about this and you're not training your team, these people don't just appear in front of you. And I mean, I know your business, Margaret, is pretty structured in terms of helping people get organized and structured. But for the team members, I just implemented. Listen, I'm no superstar as it relates to training my team, and I've done it over time, but I don't do it. I do it methodically, but I do it just whenever I can. I got to fit it in here or there. Majority of attorneys aren't business people, so they have to think about this. They need people like your law firm consulting and other people that are professionals that can sort of bring it in. My idea now is just this year I'm doing 12 PowerPoints, so I'm building them for uh, teaching other attorneys. And I go, well, what's going on? I'm teaching other attorneys. Why am I not teaching my own team? So we're going to have every month we're going to have a succession discussion. We're going to have a rainmaking discussion. We're going to have a how do you retain client discussion. So these are all the things that you should be building these people up over time, because guess what, when you're ready to retire, who knows your firm and your clients better than your team?
Yeah, it's so true. It's like the cobbler's children.
Yeah.
We teach and we tell other folks what to do, but then we don't always do it ourselves. And
So
and
we
this
gotta
does.
we gotta maybe before you go on, maybe we gotta educate people as to what is a cobbler. Maybe Kirsty doesn't know what a cobbler is.
Oh, I think she
I know
does.
what a
Chrissy, do
cobbler
you know
is,
what a
but thank
cobbler is?
you.
I bet you my ask
Yes.
my kids, they have
Oh,
no idea.
you're saying that because she's younger than you,
That's right.
not than
That's right.
me. Right. So the cobbler was back in the day when you actually brought your shoes somewhere and someone fixed them. But
Yeah.
nowadays we just go buy a new pair.
Yeah.
But it is true. Like there's so many things that we know are right and our clients know are right, but we usually we're prioritizing our clients. I'm not always preparing ourselves. So it sounds like, Phil, you are preparing your firm now with these presentations. And, we quickly touched on OGC at the beginning, but I do want to ask you a question. So OGC, first of all, if you could explain what that service is, and then I want to connect it with succession planning and what I would expect would involve a lot of preparation to transition those types of clients to other people at your firm.
Absolutely. I made the decision in October 24 to completely develop this. I was a consumer-based law firm, and we're dealing with all sort of individuals, and realized that that wasn't my world. I'm a more of a outlier as it relates to a business person, because I do a lot of businesses outside the law. I've been involved in my own exits. I've done a lot of partnerships, etc. So I see how these things operate. I go, I really love that world. So we go business to business, and we help them with all of their life cycle, whether they're startups, they're in the middle of it growing, or they're in succession. So we talk about all these things with our clients, and we visualize and we help them plan, because these hard charging entrepreneurs aren't thinking about those things. I talked to one of my clients, he's very wealthy now, and it's ultra not high net worth people that we're dealing with. And I said, hey, I go, start putting a little bit of money away. I got to put it in my business. Then I show them the math problem. If you just put something into a 401k or a COLI product or, private placement life insurance, suddenly you're saving more money than you would have been given to the government, and it's all legitimate. And he goes, oh, I see. So this is what we do for our clients. We help them in all areas of the law. But what we do is we're more of a connector and a value add law firm. So as it relates to succession planning, it's really important to understand is that now I start looking at the founders, but more importantly, I look at the people underneath them, their general managers, their CFOs, the CEOs, the people that really sort of drive the business, because oftentimes founders are rainmakers. They're not thinking about those things. So they hire people that can help them get to the next step. So what I do is that I'm patterning myself. I don't believe that I am unique in any way. I can come in and say, hey, this person did it already. Why do I want to reinvent the wheel? So that's how I use OGC. We help our clients with one thing, but that's what attorneys have to remember here is that your clients can add value to you. And if you're not paying attention to that, especially in the succession world, you're losing a lot of free education. So anyway.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so true. Chrissy and I actually do talk about this. It comes up often where we'll leave calls with our clients and we learn so much from our clients. Like it's really interesting. It's such a mutually beneficial relationship where we are supporting them in areas that we have a strong background, like the operations, strategy, succession. And then we're learning from them, like creative ideas that they implemented to help launch and make their firms as successful as they are. So we do learn from each other.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And even having these conversations, right? These are important. Listen to a podcast on these things that you don't know, but you got to commit to it. All the stuff that we talked about, you got to commit to it. You got to put it in your schedule. You got to do it. Procrastination is the killer. That's the killer of everything.
It is.
Yeah.
And there's no perfect timing. It's just start. Whether it's, as you said, whether it was 20 years ago or tomorrow, just start.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it.
I'm curious. You mentioned that some of the bad advice is that you keeping succession planning a secret. So how can firms effectively communicate their succession planning, both internally and externally, to reduce sort of uncertainty amongst, attorneys, colleagues, as well as clients?
They're probably about the same, and you're not necessarily talking to clients about your succession as you're growing with them. If you're near the end of your succession, then maybe you start talking. But the best way to do is to bring your team into the mix. So I spent a lot of time taking my team and making them direct contact with the client. And one of the tricks of the trade is that you can call me, but my rate is this. You pay me $650 an hour, $700 an hour, but you're paying my team $5, $4, paralegals $250. It's a mind shift towards it. And then when they get that same level of service at a lower rate, and it's great, but they always know they can call me and they're going to use that, higher rate after the discussion when they need me for making high end, decisions. But you sort of like move them over and it's great. The team then becomes empowered, they become excited, and then it's almost like it's their client. Sometimes it doesn't work if someone leaves, and there's always transition, but that's okay too. We want the best for our team, and if they're going to stay, they're going to go, we always want them to get better. But the team, it's just talking about it. And one of the most interesting questions that I always or concepts that I always throw, I go, if I get hit by a bus, and I know everyone, that's like a really interesting adage, but it really sort of causes people to think about it, not to clients, but to team members, like,
Yeah.
what will happen? What will you do? And it starts that discussion, and it shows that you're empowering them to get better and learning, and then embracing it. And hopefully someday, as you train and find the right person that's going to be able to come into your firm and help you grow, it may be someone in your firm, or it may be someone outside the firm. And I've been looking very, very heavily into these type of people. That's why our it's very hard for us to get attorneys to come in, because it's a very unique person that you want to cultivate to support what you've built over time.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like we could talk for so much longer. We're getting close to the end of our time together, Phil, and we would love to, it's connected. We would love for you to just share. You started to talk about the OGC. Can you just share a little bit more about that so that folks in our audience understand, like you touched on it earlier, but just a little bit more about that, especially for firms that are thinking of succession. They have folks in the team that are very bright and good at what they do, but they don't have the skills that the corporate business part of skill set that is needed. I would envision OGC can help supplement those firms also.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our outside counsel model works so well with other things that we don't handle. So maybe we'll start off with I don't handle. I don't handle litigation. It destroys, and anybody's a corporate attorney, it destroys the relationship because it doesn't really matter what the success ratio is. You're going to lose along the way. You lose the battles, maybe you win the war, but they associate it with something so horrible, and that's losing money because they're used to investing money in their business and getting a return on investment. It's not a return on investment. Then they relate it to Fornaro law, and it's like a disaster. So I said, no. We'll stay out as outside general counsel. We will counsel. We have a huge trucking client base. We'll help them with their attorneys, like the insurance defense attorney. They don't know trucking, and we know everything about trucking. So as a result of that, they were like their security blanket. We came up, we settled the case yesterday. It was like a horrible trucking accident. We settled it because of what we said, what we brought into the mix, because we know their client structures the best. So the OGC model is more or less, we help with commercial real estate and zoning, asset protection, which is the core to all of this. We do a lot of governance. We make sure their structures are set up in such a proper way. Obviously, we work on succession planning with them, high-end estate planning, structuring for tax and otherwise. And then zoning and commercial real estate is sort of like where we get all of our big clients. And what we'll find is that our clients have so many different ventures and so many different verticals. It's so easy for us to overlay in these businesses. We'll go and we'll learn the business. And then if they need somebody, if they need an IP attorney, which we don't handle, we'll refer those out. If we need a litigation we talked about, if they need a high-end or a regular accountant, a CPA, we have 7, 8 top CPA firms, low, middle, high. We have wealth planners all around the country that will support us. We have tax attorneys that we deal with. So we're sort of the cog of just adding value. And that's our goal, is to add value to our client, both in legal and non-legal pursuits.
We like to end on a high note. We started by asking you about the worst advice you've received. Can you please share the best advice about succession planning that you've received?
I think it was important. I was with a client and we were talking about it, and it was, hey, I don't really understand what to do. And be able to ask the right questions, right? And to understand the right questions, it was, get your team of professionals together today. Get your consultant, get your attorney, get your accountant, get your wealth planner, and then get your tax expert. And it may sometimes be the same as a CPA. Get it together. Quit waiting, get it together, and let's build this team. And then have that team throughout your life cycle.
Okay. So, Phil, thank you for joining us today. Always wonderful to see you. Succession is something many firms know they need to plan for, and our hope today is for them to have some takeaways, which I think is start today. So thank you for that. Phil, for our audience, we'd love for you to share how people can reach you. We will also have this in the notes of the podcast, but if you don't mind sharing, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so go to our website, but LinkedIn tells a lot more about me. Philip Fornaro on the LinkedIn, pretty easy to get to. Also, jump on the Lightbulb Moments podcast. It's awesome, and we'll get Margaret to be on there fairly soon. She did a great job on our podcast. Non-legal, we talked to lawyers, and there's some really good lawyers that we've interviewed. But the idea is I love, that's my favorite thing to do. And if anybody out there that needs anything, once you link in with me, I'll give you my cell phone, and you want help on succession planning or anything else, I'm all about giving back to our legal community here. So, and I appreciate what you're doing here, Margaret and Kirsty, getting this thing together. So this is great, great opportunity for lawyers to just increase their knowledge and becoming better.
Amazing. Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, we were so happy to have you with us today, and for everyone in our audience for tuning in. Thank you so much for joining the Law Firm Lab by MB Law Firm Consulting. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and please follow us, rate us, and tune in to our next episode. And until then, both Kirsty and I want to give you all a big thank you for being with us today, and thank you, Phil.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.